then let's go ahead and call our meeting to order. 7:03. All right, let me do a quick roll call. John, Jim, can you hear us, Jim?
Here.
I'm here. Sorry,
Kim,
I'm here.
You can hear us okay? Laura, you can hear us okay? Okay,
yes.
awesome. All right. And does anybody have any suggestions for any changes to the agenda tonight? The agenda is adopted without objection. All right, communication on non-agenda items. Would anyone like to make a comment before we get started? No hands? Okay, and we will move on to the beef, to the meatballs. What kind of meatballs are you making?
Meatballs.
I'm hungry now.
Meatballs for spaghetti.
Oh, wonderful. My favorite kind. Okay. Lynn, I'm going to hand the gavel over to Lynn for the presentation. And please.
Okay.
Share your wealth and knowledge with us.
Well, actually, I'm just a question person. So it's going to look a lot like we did last night, where I just want to see if everyone has looked through the ideas document, right? At least through the land use concepts, because that's pretty much our conversation tonight.
I'm scrolling through it right now.
Hello?
Okay. Hi, we can hear somebody talking.
It was Kim, but she may not have been talking to us.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So did anyone have any questions about the document that maybe I could answer before we start? Or David could answer? By the way, this is David Modi, who's also in the working group for the Mid-City Community Plan Update, and he's the chair of the Kensington Talmadge Planning Group as well. No comments?
Is it possible to share the document on the screen?
I'm going to be putting up what we're talking about. Yeah, the land use document. Okay. Everybody can see that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we really want to step through the 5 concepts and review what's here, sort of look at the pros and cons of both, and look at what's best for the Eastern area communities. So let's just start with concept 1. David, could you explain again the yellow color on the map? Because this does not have a legend in the document so far.
Yellow is, in this case, there's a yellower yellow, but in this case, you've got the orange yellow, and that's low residential 4 or 4, low 4 residential. And that is density that's from 15 dwelling units per acre to some higher number. And the main, from my perspective, the main point about that is that opens the door to complete communities and makes those areas eligible for buildings with 6.5 FAR, which is a 7-story or 8-story building.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Laura, did you have a question?
Yes, I looked at this, and for Eastern area, there's a lot of that orange color that David mentioned in El Cerrito and a lot in Redwood Village. None are very little in Rolando and Rolando Village and Oak Park. And I'm wondering why. I don't understand how the orange is in our Eastern area communities, how it's been considered and designated. Because that wipes out a lot of our neighborhood areas where the other two, like Rolando and Rolando Village, have very little, and it leaves them intact. And the same with Oak Park. I don't understand how Redwood Village and El Cerrito got targeted for this color and this consideration in zoning and the rest of the area didn't. And I was wondering if that ever got discussed anywhere, because it doesn't make sense to me. When you look at how much orange is in all the other communities and how it's targeted in our little area to Redwood Village and El Cerrito, I don't get it.
Sounds like
Okay.
maybe that's a question for Alex. David?
Well, I would say yes, that's a question for Alex.
Yeah.
I'm
Is it-
with Laura. I don't see a direct correlation between the why and some reason I can come up with.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondering if maybe somehow during, you guys have a little bit more conversation with the powers that be than the rest of the public gets a chance to be part of. So I wondered if maybe there was some
Yeah, Laura,
discussion about.
Lynn and I are as much potted plants as everyone else.
Yes.
We only have like 2 minutes to talk after they spend a whole hour on their presentation.
Yes.
Okay, so what we see is what you see. Got it.
Yep. Thank you.
Got it.
Lindsay, you had a question?
Yeah, it's actually I want to reiterate what Laura's saying. Being an El Cerrito resident and actually living at one of the transit corridors in a single family home, it's disheartening to see my stretch of the neighborhood at El Cajon Boulevard and College Avenue, essentially major purple and yellow. I think, again, just as a resident and as a contributor to the community, it feels almost like we're getting kicked out through planning, which whether that's intentional or not, it'd be great to see that scaled back a little bit with the yellow and the purple into the single family homes.
Okay. Thank you. This is just one of the 5 that we're looking at
Yeah,
tonight.
keep in mind, we're going to be looking at 5 different ideas tonight that's in the draft. This is just one. So, we don't like this one, then we need to voice that. And hopefully, I don't know, Lindsay, if you're able to come to our meeting in October and you can share your thoughts with Alex directly. He's project manager for this plan.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Yep. Give me all the details. I'll be there.
Okay. Thank you. Danielle.
So a possible reason, and this is just my observation by seeing this map for the first time, is that those 2 neighborhoods straddle University Ave, which is transit, because land use number 1 says it's focusing growth along transit corridors.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know of too much other transit in the eastern area, other than College Grove Drive has the bus stops at the shopping center. It's a possibility.
Yep. Thank you.
It dawned on me that these were neighborhoods that already had.
Excuse me, who's speaking?
Oh, I'm sorry, this is Jim Westheimer.
Yeah.
It seems like that these were areas that already have apartments that already are a little denser to begin with.
Jim, if I could, one thing I would say as it relates to the apartments, it was a failure on planning's part whenever this happened back in, 70s, 80s, 90s, to mix apartments and condos with single family homes and not ensure adequate parking. I realize the city's dream is to have everyone ride the bus and the trolley, but those systems are not adequate at this time. And I don't know when they will be in the future. And so when you have mixed dwellings, ADUs, apartments, condos, and single family homes, it creates a lot of discourse within neighborhoods. And those types of issues don't bubble up always to the city level unless there's true, there's restraining orders, there's, complaints about neighbors, but those are true issues. So I personally, from a planning perspective, would not double down on areas that already have.
No, I'm not doubling down.
It's
I just thought they were designated because they already were denser to begin with, and that's why I was just speculating that that's why they already got those colors. That's all.
Laura, did you have your hand up again?
Yes, I do, because I don't feel like that's the explanation, because University Avenue goes into Rolando and Rolando Park quite a bit. And Rolando Park actually has a lot of deep lots right along University where a lot of things could happen. And once again, they're not colored this yellow color. If the explanation were it's part of the transit route, it should be colored all the way. And it seems like 54th, because that 955 bus goes all the way down 54th. It seems like that should be colored in Oak Park. So, and this isn't just in concept 1, you guys. It's in concept 1, 2, and 3. Let me check if it's in 5. It's not in 4. No, it's not in 5 either. So, but it's, oh yeah, it's in 4 too. So it's in the concepts 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's a concern. I don't understand it, and it seems, I would like to know the reasoning behind it. That's all.
Let's pose these questions to Alex because he's the one that can answer them for us. But we do, there's 5 concepts. So we are hoping, well, I mean, I'll just come out and say that as the Eastern Area Planning Committee, the one that makes the most sense is the last one, but we're going to go through each one and they look fairly similar. But concept number 5 is the one that we would like to propose supporting.
I thought we were discussing which ones to support, that it wasn't predetermined already.
It's not predetermined, but...
Well, it sounds like you said that number 5's already been selected.
This is the first time we're discussing it, so... No, this is the first time we're discussing it. I mean, Lynn mentioned that she, that 4 and 5, either 4 or 5, kind of seemed like the best options for our area. Personally, I think 5 is the best option for our area. We had consensus last night with the other board members that 5. So let's just go through them. And then, once we go through them, it'll start to make a little bit more sense. But these questions are questions that really Alex is going to have to answer for us. None of us knows, the details of that really. Okay, so Lynn, please.
Okay. Yeah, and let me just clarify too. 4 and 5 were just talked about at the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't think I support 4, but those are the 2 that got some discussion going at the last working group meeting. That's all. Nothing's been decided. So here's the thing about concept 1 is that it literally would be changing, it would introduce a mix of housing options in transit neighborhoods. Well, all of Eastern area is pretty much a transit neighborhood, right?
Maybe those areas were located next to a school or a park, not transit, but a school or a park.
Right, because that's the other thing I see here is that there will be land use changes. Nearly half of the schools, parks, and public facilities. So they'd be moving some of the density closer to those everyday resources.
Yeah, I'm just recall that this is us speculating on their motives, not us endorsing anything.
Yes, exactly.
Right. I understand, but there's schools in Rolando Park. And then also one of the concerns with these is all they talk about for the most part is housing. And we in our area don't need affordable. They talk about abundant affordable housing in this plan. And we don't need abundant affordable housing. We need market rate housing to balance our community, and that's been known since the last update. And we also need employment opportunities and office buildings and things like that built. And these concepts keep talking about high density, which is for homes. And so, anyway, there's a lot of concerns about all of these concepts because of what the City of Villages envisions is that all our neighborhoods throughout the entire city are somewhat equal. And yet we keep seeing a plan that shows abundant, affordable housing and not anything that brings us into economic feasibility with the rest of the city. So that's, and part of that is, you know, where they're showing, once again, these goldish areas on maps 1 through 4.
Okay, but
Okay,
there
so
is
for
no,
tonight, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Lynn. For
That's okay.
tonight, we're going to look at each of the 5 concepts, review them briefly, because we have a limited amount of time. And, David graciously came to help answer some of our questions. But we're just reviewing them. And so let's get through them, because some of these same concerns are going to come up on some of the other concepts. It looks kind of the same. So let's just go ahead and get through the concepts.
so this is the second concept here.
And you see the big change here is the yellow, the light yellow. And you'll see that yellow elsewhere on other concepts. And the big difference between yellow and what's there right now is it's zoning it from 9 units per acre to 14 units per acre. And to get to a 14 per unit acre, you're going to townhouse zoning or RM11 zoning. And with that, the FAR goes from 0.6 to 1.3. And you have to recall that most of our homes are probably at the FAR of 0.3 or 0.4. So what you will see built on the lot will be 4 to 5 times as massive as a typical single family home. And part of that also is that last year or a year before that, they excluded garages from the FAR for RM and other non-RS zones. So you have a 1.3 FAR, and then you can have garages that create more mass of build, won't count towards the 1.3 FAR. So you could have a FAR of 1.5 or something like that on the light yellow.
Wow. Thank you, David.
So concept 2 is even more, it just includes more area. And
if someone needs to see that, I've got a kind of a diagram that an architect drew up for me.
Love to see it.
That would be great.
Let me know when you want me to bring that up.
Was that the presentation at your meeting, at the Kensington Talmadge meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, that was super helpful to be able to see what that would actually look like.
Would it be okay if we saw it as we're talking through this next plan?
You just let me know when you
Just
want me
to visualize?
Do we want to look at it now, David, or wait until?
It's your meeting. You decide. You can go. We can wait till land use 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
Kim?
we should go through the concepts first. We make sure that we get through them all, and then we can add the extra information in, or we can share it, through email later.
Sure. Kim, you had a question? Kim?
Sorry, I was mute. Yeah, I was just having a question about what's the difference between the yellow and orange, but I guess if David's going to show visually what the difference is a little bit later, then that kind of will answer my question in a bit.
Okay.
So what that means, like the purple, is that just transit, or is that also like even higher density?
That's even higher density.
Right.
Okay.
Looking at maybe 8 to 18 stories in the purple.
18?
Potentially.
Yeah. And so if you look down here, this dark purple down here on the right side, that's the College Grove market at the Grove. So, and also down here in the Webster area. So, and then along Fairmount Avenue, those would be really dense. Okay.
I have my hand up. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I wanted to also comment that deep purple area on those, both College Grove, which would take away a huge amount of our ability to shop in our area. And then also the huge purple down in Webster. I think that's going to destroy Webster. And that's showing up in all of the plans. That's even in concept 5.
Laura, I
Both
don't
of
think it destroys the shopping. I think the plan would be build housing on top of the shopping. Is probably what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Just
Yeah.
like they're going to be doing
Yeah,
at
but
Fashion Valley, Grossmont
Mixed
Center.
use.
Yeah.
Yep, mixed use, exactly. Mission Valley, Fashion Valley, Grossmont. It's all going in that direction.
So just a couple of points too. This is also would mean land use changes around the schools again, parks, public facilities. So stronger emphasis on expanding a mix of multi-family housing options in our neighborhoods. Okay. So I'm going to step through that and look at 3 now. I think 3 is pretty interesting. Stepping back 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes no sense. Like we were saying last night, makes no sense in regards to climate action plan. You know, we didn't even have the same amount of public transportation in the 80s. This one is really mind-boggling. But anyway,
some of these almost seem like they're put in there intentionally to draw you to one of the other alternates, really, I think so.
It does feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out about this is on the next page too. It offers the lowest overall opportunities for new homes, jobs, and businesses within the climate smart village areas. So that actually will not make people get out of their cars, will not provide walkable neighborhoods, you know, walking to a little center where you can find restaurants, services. Laura?
You know, I was looking at the number of people that are riding mass transit and walking and using bikes, and it's still so low compared to all the people who are driving. And it's not just in San Diego, it's statewide. If you look at Los Angeles, there's a really great map where you can see who's using what kind of transportation. And the most that anybody uses transit in the state of California that I could find was San Francisco, and they only use like 17% mass transit. They still have a huge amount of their community using cars. And for your points about, you know, the transit and not having parking and stuff is critical because of the reality versus this fantasy that's been in these little maps.
Okay. Any other comments about concept 3? Because we'll move on and look at concept 4.
Concept 3 seems, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's making 1 and 2 look less bad, but they're still bad. But concept 3 would be so disruptive, just even from an actual implementation perspective. It just would disrupt the whole ecosystem of the neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make a brief comment, which is after I looked at these the first time, I quickly came to the conclusion that some of these were just to make other things look better than they really are, because some of these are so bad.
We're not falling for it.
That's what I just said.
Yes, I'm just saying I came to the same conclusion.
Yeah, common tactic.
I think we're being played, but okay.
It's a totally common tactic. They do the same thing.
Okay, let's move on to 4. So
maybe this is where I show the picture of what the yellow looks like.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So this is what RT residential townhouse 1-2 zoning would allow.
Oh, let me stop sharing mine, David,
Oh.
because we can't see yours. There we go. Okay.
I can see it.
Now we can, yeah.
In this example, probably this first floor would be parking, garage parking, which would not count towards the FAR. And then you would consume your 1.3 FAR in these 2 stories here and keeping it, within the 30-foot height limit. So I'm just compare it to regular houses that you see here and here and here, the difference. I mean, it's essentially having Huffman's dropped in everywhere.
Yeah,
Wow.
that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, and we're already seeing this in other neighborhoods, right? In University City, Normal Heights. I mean, this is already on the news where neighbors are protesting these
And one reason
mini
why,
apartment buildings.
and one reason why this is so big is because not only do you get your 2 townhouses, each townhouse gets 2 ADUs for a total of 6 units.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Lots of people have their hands up. Kim, I'll take you first.
Yeah, so with that picture you just showed, David, so what color on the map would that correlate to?
That's the light yellow.
That's the one. No.
That's the low 3. They're still calling this low density. It's in massing, it's not that different from an RM37 zone, if you're familiar with zoning.
Can you share what an RM37 zone is?
I might be able to do that. This is an RM37 zone. It has a 1.8 FAR, and this had a 1.3 FAR, but you can probably get to 1.8 with the garages, not counting towards FAR. Only on this one, it's 9 units rather than 6. And you can go up 40 feet. So there's that difference.
Danielle, you
Yeah,
had a
what's
question?
So,
Go ahead.
this looks very familiar, David. It's right on the traffic circle on 49th Street in
Yeah.
Adams. And if you look very carefully, past the purple, you can see 2 large white buildings kind of symmetric on each corner of the lot. Are those 2 stories high?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the ones that we all protested when it went up for sale and 2 ADUs went in?
Yes.
Okay,
4
thank you.
ADUs went in.
Oh,
5
4.
ADUs went in.
Okay, yeah, so they scraped the whole backyard and put in 2-story matching apartment buildings, truly. So, okay, so to orient everybody, 49th Street is at the bottom. The traffic circle, you see a little bit of it there in the bottom left. And then Winona is up in the top right little piece corner. That's my street. And Adams is just where the white box is explaining all the zoning.
So Lynn, do you want me to drop the picture or do you want me to leave the picture up?
I think, did anyone else have anything about this? Because otherwise I'll ask you to drop and I'll put the concepts back up.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
David, do you have you made any calculations or anybody else in your group made calculations as to the increase in numbers of residential units that they're proposing, like with this concept? Has anybody done that yet?
I asked Alex that question and he did not have an answer for it. He said I probably knew better than he did. But I get the feeling they have a number and that they're just squishing that number around into various concepts.
Do you anticipate it to be similar to college areas, 300%?
I suspect it'll at least be 100% increase in zone capacity, and it could be more than that. I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. John?
Yeah,
And then we'll move on.
a quick question for me is, what does FAR or FAR stand for? Is that an acronym for something?
Yeah, it stands for floor area ratio, and it's a ratio between the overall lot size and the volume of building you can have. And that volume of building is measured by the floor space.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, David. I'm going to
Okay.
put mine back up. Okay. Okay, thanks. Wow. So
This is the worst of them all.
And this is the one that got a little traction from one of the members from City Heights.
Yeah.
And it's because it's distributed everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It
And there's that comment there, new homes equally to everyone, most equitable. Well, according to who?
and I have to say,
Equitable, but
and then we have to, and how equitable is the park space distributed around this area?
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Any other comments? Because Laura?
Laura, you still have your hand up?
It seems to me, no, this is new, sorry. It seems to me that I know there's, in this plan, there's statements about people don't want to move very far and stuff like that. Well, if they're willing to move from City Heights neighborhood into Eastern area neighborhood, they really are not going to be getting any, you know, we're low prosperity area. We don't have a lot to offer. Our schools are not getting the great education. And with very little further distance, they could go to Mission Valley, which has high prosperity. It has really good transit with the trolley right there and tons of buses connecting to all sorts of other places. It seems to me that this option that only the mid-city area can provide housing for all the people in City Heights who want to quote unquote stay in the neighborhood is unrealistic, and maybe we should kind of counter that.
Thanks. Lindsay? Lindsay, you had your hand up.
Okay, I thought I got dropped from the call for a second. I couldn't hear anything. Yeah, so one thing I would say again, I have so much heartburn over the demographics data, and I really don't care if it's 24 or 25. I just don't agree with it, and I think there is so much missing context to these plans, and I'll wait to see Plan 5. But when we look at things like this, and if they start hacking up neighborhoods with these 2 high, 3 high buildings, it's almost like, you know, the whole street needs to comply, and we need design standards, and we need a parking study, and we need a traffic study in every one of these, because what we're already seeing happening with these ADUs is it's so impactful to everybody's day-to-day life that these types of things do not bubble up. It's only like when we see what happened in Claremont and over in what I think is Redwood Village or Oak Park, where there's like 14, 15 ADUs that people really make a stink. But this type of development is so impactful to our day-to-day lives. And I disagree. I think we have good schools. My kids go to school here. There's a lot of families here. And it's just, it doesn't seem like reality is taken into account if they're looking only at data with no context.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments about this? Kim?
Yeah, I like to piggyback on Lindsay's comment, and I agree. Like, there's a lot of things out of context here. It's a great neighborhood, and if we continue to chop up neighborhoods and take out the opportunity to have, well, starter homes. I know there's no such thing anymore in San Diego because the median price is just ridiculous, but there still need to have that opportunity in Eastern area, and even Mid-City can provide the opportunity for like a starter home, right? So any type of these plans where we're just killing the character of the neighborhood and just taking away the opportunity for your first home, like it doesn't improve anyone's daily lives, especially if you're putting things in that doesn't have parking options. Like, who's gonna work or live anywhere where there's no parking option?
Yeah, I agree. I think we all agree on that. But if you have I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the plan, but part of the outreach or the input, you know, a lot of it was geared towards younger people. I think probably the idea is because this is a plan that's going to happen, you know, years and years from now, that it's really up to them. You know, what ideas do they like? What do they want to see, you know, when they grow up? And
Well,
that,
I
at
would
least
just
that's the
propose
impression.
that they are not factoring in when they are older and have kids, that they are only
Of
thinking
course,
about
they have,
their life in their 20s.
exactly. They have
Yeah,
no,
if I may,
yeah.
the plans are so out of touch. Because when you look at San Diego State, I'm a San Diego native. San Diego State, those kids do not hang around here at all. They go to North Park, they go to PB, no one hangs out here. It's all families, elderly folks, couples that, you know, have professional jobs and chose to live in this area, maybe because they couldn't afford North Park or they chose this area. And so the city planners, if they don't actually come in this area and they're just looking at hard data and 2D drawings or Google Maps, they are completely missing the whole ecosystem of these really great historical neighborhoods. And it's just such a miss, and it's so tone deaf. And so that's where I would like to see us collectively helping them understand the value of this neighborhood. And truly, there are.
Whoops. You dropped off, Lindsay.
We can't hear you, Lindsay.
We lost you, Lindsay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so just one more point. There's so many families in this neighborhood. And so these plans are actually what did start as starter homes. These are our forever homes, most likely, because to Kim's point, the price point in San Diego, and we actually have figured out we like the neighborhoods. So this 30-year plan, if it's the same as college area in terms of timing, this affects us and the rest of our lives, likely more than any young people or even college students. Again, they have transportation. They do not stay around this area. They leave for entertainment.
Okay. Thank you. Somebody's echoing. Okay. Any other comments? I'm just going to move on to the last one, which is 5. Okay, so concept 5 is really going to put all of the density on the transit corridors. It presents no change to most of the single family and multifamily areas. And you can see that in the map. You don't see anything happening outside of El Cajon Boulevard, University, 54th. Is that Fairmount? Yeah. And so that's where all the density will go.
Yeah.
I think for
in,
some of us, you know, just real
go
quick,
ahead, I'm sorry.
This is where I thought the density was going in the last community plan update, which turned out to be a no growth plan. So we actually have not seen any density on the transit corridors like we should be seeing. I think this one for single family communities, like most of the eastern area, seems to be the most one that we should be looking at. And it has to do also with the fact that most of the opportunities for growth, for jobs, new housing would be on the transit corridors and centers.
This also is the plan with the least amount of displacement of existing renters and residents, because these purple areas are almost entirely housing free right now. They are mostly, you know, whatever businesses and car lots and parking lots that are there.
Mm-hmm. And you know, poorly used space. There's a lot of that on University, I think.
Yeah.
A space that isn't used well.
And El Cajon Boulevard, probably both of them, right?
Yep, both of them, exactly. And so, again, it proposes the highest overall density, but it also presents chances for job opportunities and more housing on the corridors. So
I want to make a couple more comments about this. See the
Sure.
major purple areas, the deep purple areas in City Heights and Kensington Talmadge right there.
mhm.
These, I believe, are located there because of the planned route of the purple trolley line.
I think that's exactly right. Yeah.
The purple trolley line is probably not buildable because they don't have the money for it. I mean, we at some point maybe that purple should be moved over to the I-15 because that rapid route really does exist. And another thing is, in real terms, after this upzoning, there would be a burst of development along these corridors that would gradually die down as property values rose to meet the new intensity of the development capacity. And those property values would eventually squeeze out the profit available for the developer, and more of the profit would adhere to the existing landowners. It's just sort of the nature of the beast. It's like the way the bonus ADU program drove up housing prices $200,000 per house, particularly for the smaller starter homes. Eventually, the value switches over to the landowner.
Yeah, so in terms of
I
equity,
can't hear John.
Bettina's talking. In terms of equity, I mean, if you really want to think of equity as, you know, fairness to everyone on an economic basis, this is the most equitable plan, given what you just said, David. You know, not taking everything away from us and handing it over to developers, but actually having the residents be the ones that own their space in their city. I know, I probably sound like Bernie Sanders. Sorry.
But
I
why
mean,
can't
come
that be
on,
realistic?
Right.
Why can't that
just
be
so
I
that-
know, I know.
A couple people
Yes,
have their hands raised. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Laura? Did you have Laura? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, regarding the purple line, I agree with David. It's the chances of it being built are kind of slim, but in the event that they did get the funding for it, they would be dislocating so many people to build that. I mean, there would be tons of housing lost to get that purple line through. So that's another concern. And then all of these plans keep talking about housing density, and they are not talking about the employment. And if our neighborhoods are going to have any future except to become very poor housing areas, we need to have jobs here. We need to have market rate housing. We need to have the balance that the underlying documents talk about for neighborhoods. So that concerns me. And I also was talking to our community relations officer, and he was talking about perceptions of crime and actual crime along the corridor in El Cajon Boulevard. And he was talking about how the college area, a lot of residents in the college area are reluctant to go south of college area into our neighborhoods, even to go to our beautiful Choice Lake Park, because, or Colina del Sol, because they perceive those areas as unsafe. So even though they have fewer park opportunities in their neighborhoods, they have leery feelings about coming to our neighborhoods, even for parks. And then I know as I go along El Cajon Boulevard to the west, I feel unsafe in some of those areas. And part of the reason the community relations officer talked about was that so many of these places are rentals. So there's no, the only quote unquote stakeholder is a property owner who's often not in the area. They're just apartments that churn over people, and so there's no stakeholders in the area to take care of the area. So I understand about how good this is for all our surrounding areas, but there's considerations about so much density once again being all focused in those little areas.
Okay,
One,
thanks,
if I
Lindsay.
may, please, Lindsay, just make a comment. You know, something to think about in thinking of kind of looking at things in a little bit more positive way. You know, somebody last night, I think it was Emily, I can't remember who, brought up La Mesa and how, at least from, you know, driving through there, it always seems to me that they had such great planning, and they have concentrated a lot of their apartment buildings, condominiums along University Avenue, and it's created like a you know, like a little city hub. You know, you can walk out your door, walk, you know, down the street, go grab some coffee, some dinner, whatever. And to me, and you know, we agreed last night anyway in discussing this, is that this concept 5 also would give us that opportunity to grow in that way, which we currently do not have anywhere except in Kensington, which I love, but it's like 2 blocks. You go, you know, in 15 minutes, you're done. And you just keep going around and around, which is great. I love it. But, you know, this would create that sense of kind of like a, you know, urban core village where you can walk around and get your things done and meet your neighbors or whatever. That's kind of how I see this too. I thought that was a really good comparison. And I don't know if, you know, how often y'all drive down University Avenue towards La Mesa, but it's beautiful. I mean, they've just done a great job. And why can't we have that? I mean, it's going to be one of these 5 concepts, right? So, you know, we can't stop the plan or the growth, but we can try to push for something that's more advantageous, and keeps the character of all our neighborhoods, including City Heights. You know, if City Heights is concerned about losing their character, this would also help keep the character that they've developed all these years, because the other plans would ruin that as well. So anyway, that's all I want. That's what I want to say.
Thanks, Bettina. Lindsay, you had
Yeah.
your hand up.
Yeah, so Bettina, I think well said. I go to La Mesa every Saturday because my kids do some stuff at the rec center over there. And La Mesa has gotten cuter and cuter and cuter. And really, it's a good example of building on the existing architecture, the existing look. They had a good little main street to begin with, and they're just kind of beautifying what's there. But that is something that I think is missing. And I do think it's shaded by the complete communities and money and, you know, whatever the deal is with developers. If we can get past that and really have the city understand that these areas, in order to be economically sound, have to be a destination, right? People go to North Park because it's, you know, the hip place for food and, you know, nightlife and all the things. And La Mesa is cute, it's quaint, it's kind of got, it almost has like a La Jolla downtown vibe. And all of these areas can have that too. And we deserve it as residents, and celebrating the history and the character by redefining these main corridors with matching aesthetics. We're all kind of creatures of habit in terms of, we know what we like. We like aesthetically pleasing things. This is, you know, this is not a new novel concept. And if they bought into that, they could understand, I think, that you can still make the main corridors more dense, do it in a thoughtful way that matches the neighborhoods, and does bring in, to Laura's point, market rent, neighbors, shops and restaurants that want to contribute to the neighborhood because they know that they will get customers. And that is a win for everyone. Yeah, maybe you're not going to get 50,000 more people here, but you're going to get a lot more people, and you please the current residents and you bring in new residents. And I don't know why that can't be a win-win for everyone versus an iron fist of we're going to just put a bunch of, modern looking buildings because they're cheap to build everywhere. So again, I go back to the character matching neighborhood looks and being super thoughtful while still bringing in density.
Okay, thanks. Kim?
Hi, thanks. So I actually have two questions. So for the purple areas on the maps, is it kind of like that really tall building on El Cajon Boulevard near 54th, where that was supposed to be for like low income? Is that the vision they have for these purple high transit areas?
The Family Health Centers building?
Yeah. That really tall building on the border of El Cerrito on El Cajon Boulevard, kind of close to Scrimshaw coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's only 8 stories tall compared to all sorts of different stories that can go up now.
I mean, Alex told me in conversation that Plan 5 could allow up to 18 stories high. However, once you switch from 8 stories to 9 stories, you have to go to steel construction, and that's much more expensive. So once you go to 9 stories, you really got to go to 12 or 13. And you really have to have be able to charge a high rent. And we can't charge high rents. I don't think we're going to see anything higher than 8.
Okay, so we'll probably see something similar to that along the transit corridor.
Yeah.
Okay. And then did the planning committee yesterday figure out or thought of like a second option in case we got shot down for picking Plan 5?
Well, what we'd like to do, at least my idea, and we agreed last night, so we'll see how y'all feel tonight, but we would like to just communicate to Alex that we are, of all the concepts, we feel that 5 is the best, and here's why. And all we can do is communicate that to him. He's the project manager. He needs to listen to our input. What he does with it, I don't know. But we believe, again, speaking for myself and the folks last night, that the best approach as a group would be to be united in saying, of these 5 concepts, we like 5 because it makes the most sense, just like we've been saying, makes the most sense for our area, for our neighborhoods. We agree that the density belongs on the main corridors. We want to keep the integrity of our neighborhoods. And that includes City Heights, and we can even emphasize that because we know that there's a lot of caring about City Heights right now, but they would lose their character too. And so basically, that's what we'd like to do. We don't have to do that, but we'd like to have our entire planning committee be on board with one of these concepts, since those are our choices, 1 through 5, period.
Can I, John?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. Thanks for letting me speak here. So one of the things about this, I think if you read the 75-page report or whatever, I think a lot of these yellow areas are designated as a historically unimportant, something along that line, like the architecture and the design of the neighborhoods and stuff. They have, I forget the terminology that they use, but I'm remembering it as historically unimportant or insignificant.
Sort of like exempt from the 45-year review, I think, something like
something,
that.
Yes.
something that, because there's no character to the neighborhood, or the architecture is unremarkable or something like that, which, you know, if somebody said, well, you know, you've never achieved much in your life, you didn't become famous or anything, you're rather unimportant. You know, we have histories the same way. These neighborhoods have histories the same way as La Jolla and Point Loma and you know, have as well. And we don't deserve to be erased because we're considered, you know, historically unremarkable. So that's one thing that I think, you know, it would be an argument for my point, is this is something that's like kind to basically erase what these neighborhoods were. Another thing that I keep hearing is that, well, when you make this density, it's going to encourage people to walk and to ride, you know, bikes and e-bikes and take the bus and stuff. And if you live in any of these neighborhoods, I you know, there's so many canyons here, and I keep wanting to know, like, are the canyons going to have bridges over them for those of us who are senior citizens and need to walk from, let's say, University, you know, over to Oak Park? How are you going to get across the canyons with your bag of groceries? And I've had some people say, well, you just get an Uber or a Lyft, you rideshare services, and it strikes me like that, how these people are advocating for corporations that absolutely take advantage of their employees. There's, you know, the city of San Diego is sort of like relying on rideshare as like one of the transportation solutions, when that both of those companies are totally exploitive, and nothing is ever mentioned about that. And so for us to be endorsing those with our plans, our development plans, like, oh yeah, well, let's just put a whole bunch of people in that last section. You'll take a ride share, or you'll walk up the hills. If I had, you know, to bring my groceries up the hill to our house, I wouldn't be able to make it with more than one bag of groceries. So I'm forced to use a car, and if I can't park my car, then I'm gonna need a garage, and the house, all these places aren't required to build garages. So I'm totally for number 5, and I do think that La Mesa is beautiful. If you notice, going down University, it's like being struck in the face when you pass 70th Street, that it's like a different planet. You know, that they have, the streets are clean and they're smooth, and they had this amazing idea to put trees and bushes in the center of the University, and it looks really beautiful, and it also like contributes to lower CO2. And I think we should try to, that's how University and El Cajon should look. That's what we want. We want not for it to stop at 70th and become a bunch of crumbling potholes. In these, you know, empty like parking lots that are full of old dead cars. I don't understand how San Diego is allowing that. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, before I ramble on anymore, we're behind number 5, and I think it's the most practical way to do things. Well, so anyway, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Good points, John. Very good points.
We need to start wrapping up here. Laura, did you have one last comment?
Yes, I do. I don't know that we should necessarily select tonight. I think everybody needs to read this document a little carefully, because we're going on. I won't go into all that. Also, please look at page 48, which is the illustrations of what 3 to 7 stories can look like, and envision this all on El Cajon Boulevard and University. And also, we've got to get more job stuff in there, but we have nothing to walk to. So, you know, we will still need a car to go somewhere. And we do have, if you look at the map with all the our streets in the eastern area, so many of our streets end in a little dot. That means it's the street ends. It can't go to another street, usually because we have so many canyons and stuff. And we don't have the grid layout that so much of City Heights and Kensington, Talmadge, and Normal Heights does. So our area is a little unique, but definitely go look at what these building illustrations are, and I'm not ready to vote today.
Yeah, we're not voting on anything. We're just reviewing and decide. I mean, you know, again, we don't have to say anything, but I think it would be nice if as a group we could say, you know, of all these plans, we think 5 is the best and here's why, or whichever one it is that we think is the best and here's why. We're not voting on it. You don't have to agree. You know, we don't have to agree, and then we don't have to say anything. But we, you know, I mean, I just feel like as a group, it would be nice if we could have a consensus on what we want, what we'd like to see come out of this plan. If we all have different ideas, well, we all have different ideas. But as Eastern area, what's best, as the planning community, what is best for all 6 communities, if we have to select between among 1 through 5, I think it's pretty clear that 5 would be the best for all of us, even though it's not perfect. So we're not voting, we're not forcing anything. We're just hoping to have consensus to make that presentation. And if we don't, then we don't. You know, I don't know what to say about that, but I think it would be nice if, as a planning committee, we, you know, could just make it clear what we want, what we like, what we don't like. Hey, Lynn, I don't know if you have anything to offer on that.
No, I'm gonna let Lindsay make her last, and then we'll just sort of close up here. Lindsay, did you have a last comment?
Yeah, I'll be quick. To me, I'm not officially on you guys' planning group. Happy to join, but 5 seems like an obvious answer. One thing I'll say is if if we can send comments somewhere, if you guys could let me know where to do that and then where to show up in October. I'm curious about next steps.
Lindsay, if you give me, when we're done with the meeting, if you give me your email address, I will make sure you're on the mailing list so you'll get all the notifications for the meeting, how you can join. And if you do want to join, I don't know if, I think we already have 2 people for El Cerrito. I'll have to look at the bylaws for that, but.
Yeah. I would also add, Lindsay, that I'll send Bettina, make sure that you have the link to the to this report online, and you can make comments to the planning group, to Alex through November 21st. So you can make comments about the ideas, concepts here. Anything you want to comment on, you can do it online that way as well. Okay.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, Lynn, unless you have anything else you want to add real quick.
Danielle,
wrap it up.
Oh, Danielle.
I just had a quick question for David. When Alex Frost came to Kental, did Kental take a position on any of the 5?
Not at that meeting, no.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we don't have to. But
do you plan to take a position, David?
I do plan to have a statement position. I mean, I definitely saw what the broad consensus was towards Plan 5, so I expect our choice will end up being Plan 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just from my perspective, real quick, just to wrap up, 5 presents, I think, for the Eastern area, the most likely to improve. When you say we need jobs, well, those jobs need to go somewhere. They need to be on a transit corridor or close to it, Laura. Housing, you know what's missing out here? The missing middle, and that's what you see in La Mesa with all the new condos they've built over the last few years on the east end of El Cajon and University. We don't have that here. Why not? There's certainly room to add that kind of density on University. Places to walk to. We don't have any place to walk to on University right now. So anyway, things to think about.
Yes.
I don't know. These are just, again, these are early ideas. But I'm willing to bet that one of them will be in the first draft, which will be out next spring. So this is an opportunity for the planning group to let Alex and who's the project manager know what we think is best for Eastern area. That's all. And
Exactly.
I
Yes.
think 5 presents the best opportunity to improve what's been 30 years of blight on University. There's plenty of room for improvement, and I don't see that happening with the other 4 plans.
Yep, exactly. Okay, on that great note, we will adjourn the meeting. And well, before I officially adjourn, excuse me, we're going to follow up with all kinds of information. Lindsay, stay online for a second so I can get your email address from you. Or you can send it to me at the Eastern Area Chair email if you have it.
I can stay on for a second.
Okay. And yeah, so you'll be getting some follow-up and adjourned, meeting adjourned.